Never take this particular story casually, or else you will be in great trouble. And it is not everyone's cup of tea. To understand this, you need great intellect, and you need to interpret what I'm saying, what I'm trying to stick to. Okay? You need, the psychological inertia to break down what continues to rule Charlie's mind. I'm reading from the note. The letter, we are referring to Sam's letter, Charlie's friend, psychiatrist by profession in the present. The letter was suddenly found in the first day cover where it had never been seen earlier. What are first day covers? I hope you know what is a first day cover. Stamps which are issued on the first day often end up being the first day cover. So what stamp collectors do, they often mail each other with the stamp published on the first, as a first day cover on a particular day, and they do it to to help each other in their collections. So this letter was suddenly found in the first day cover, means exactly a place where all the first day covers were kept. Remember, we have said and we have discussed that Charlie was interested in philately, or rather stamp collection. It is natural that those stamps have had been the gateways or the escape routes to travel to different times of the past, to different such places which may not be existing the way they had been named in those days. I mean, for example, Algiers is no more Algiers at today's date, it is Algeria. So, often what would happen with time, names of places have changed, and even the map. So, these first day covers are essential for at least people who happen to collect stamp. They become a grandeur to their collection, and they often end up in making them understand what they had been about. But for Charlie, these first day covers are more like gateways or escape routes through which he could travel to a different time, to different places, which he considered to be beautiful, to be the sources of mirth and laughter. So this letter was found in the first day cover where it had never been seen earlier. So all of a sudden, this first day cover lands into that particular place. And all of a sudden, Charlie discovers it. What would you say this experience to be? Nothing but another hallucination. Moreover, the contents of the letter are exactly what Charlie thought of Galesburg of 1894. That means whatever was written in that letter, which happened to describe Galesburg of 1894, coincided with Charlie's assumptions about Galesburg in 1894. That means all what Charlie had assumed about Galesburg 1894 proved to be right, because that's what those first day covers, or that particular first day cover and the letter contained. So once again, this is self-deception, and psychologically you enjoy this self-deception because this deception adds to your joy, adds to your satisfaction, and keeps you away from insatiety or a feeling of incompleteness. He was incomplete in the present, in the modern times. And the satiety of the contentment comes with believing in the past, or rather discovering the past the way he had dreamt of it. So all what was written in Sam's letter, all what Sam had described and talked about, became relevant, for they happened to coincide with Charlie's assumptions and imagination in reference to Galesburg 1894. So once again we may conclude that the letter is nothing but a figment of his imagination, most probably. And he finds all what was written in that letter to coincide with the wavelength of his thought, because this is what he was expecting to happen. This is what he was expecting to happen. This is what he was waiting to happen. Yes, this is what he was waiting for to happen. So whatever he reads or finds out from the letter goes by his expectations or anticipations, because he would not have had approved anything else than what he had expected. So this figment of his imagination, this spur of fancy, is nothing but another, reverie what had offsprung from his mind and somehow have become more related with his present day thoughts. For he had always assumed Galesburg of 1894 to be so. So all what he reads is nothing but the reflection of his mind, the transcription of his thoughts, What was in his mind finds a vent and finds a form, rather in form of a letter, and it happens to be so very related. It happens to turn out to be so very related with his wavelength, because all what he reads is his own wavelength being self-reflected. Very confusing, very complicated, I must say, especially Charlie's character. Sam's letter to Charlie is a mystery. Of course it is a mystery, and I have tried to break it down into in different ways. I've said that it could be indeed that Sam had even assumed to reach Galesburg of 1894 and had somehow mailed to Charlie, or rather Charlie's grandfather, for even Sam knew Charlie didn't exist in 1894. But going to 1894 is next to impossible. So either Sam is a replica of Charlie or Charlie's thoughts, or he happens to clone with Charlie's wavelength, because in reality time travel is not possible until and unless you happen to be very much repressed, until and unless you are giving indulgence to your repression. And the second assumption, what we have talked about, was about Charlie using this illusion of his as an alibi to self-defend himself, to self-assure and self-console himself of the past being mirthful. And the third, which happens to go more with the second one, is this, that all what he reads about Galesburg in that letter is nothing but the reflection of his own mind, or all what he had thought about, or all what he had read about Galesburg. So any one of these three. But if you are more into believing in fictions, you may say that even some have been successful in finding the third level, or rather rationally he had lost his sanity, for he had succumbed under pressure and he had crumbled in the present because of worries, troubles and difficulties. You can even stick to that. In that case, Sam is nothing but a replica of Charlie, another victim of the hard times. We will continue with the discussion.